Well, we got more news to get to here on the show. I do want to talk about our next story, we're learning more about this horrible story from the IRS and what's really part of this new stimulus package. And it's this IRS looking to basically target your bank account. And this was it was broken in the Wall Street Journal just a few days ago, and has how the IRS does want to look at your bank account and the finding this sort of missing revenue. And then you would think, great, they're going to go after these billionaire tax cheats, right? That's the goal, right? We're going to go after all these people that are supposed to pay taxes, right? Not like they're it's a question. No, they are supposed to pay taxes and they simply don't. And then the IRS enforcement offices basically don't do anything to these people. And so it's not about those people. No. It's about you. So what they want to do is they want to look at those transactions that are $600 or more under the IRS rules. They would then look at this reporting
directly through your bank account.
Right.
So they want access to your routing and bank account information so that they can see it without you ever reporting it. Now, the IRS can already access your bank account if they have some kind of tax audit. They can subpoena a bank for those records. It's not that hard for them to do it now, but they want just some sort of like automatic vision into your existing accounts, which is crazy. So, I always go to Tom Wheelwright, the Wealthability host and host of the Wealthability Tax Network, for insight on this. And he recently had two small business banks, small local banks.
Right.
What am I trying to say?
Owners of small banks?
Owners of small banks
Okay.
in small cities and small towns.
Right.
And they are freaking out about this because it will be some kind of onus on them to create the technology with which the federal government can now get into all of those accounts. But they say the federal government will not be able to do anything with this information. It will be so much data that they're not going to be able to see like, oh, this 600, this 800, right?
No, what they're going to start to do is AI. I mean, here's what it says. The IRS plans to review every account above a $600 balance or with more than $600 of transactions in a year. So I'm going to say that's all of you watching right now, right?
I would hope.
Is this the beginning of a social credit score system?
Maybe. I mean, they're going to just start to look into everything. I mean, and who knows?
Right. But they're saying, right, they need this in order for tax reasons, right? And the small banks are saying, we cannot work with you on this. This will tank us. And it will create all kinds of like either it'll push people into cryptocurrency because the government can't track that yet, or in theory ever. Right. Or it's going to push us into a more of a cash society, or it's going to tank these local banks. And they're saying that, it's a ruse that they could ever do anything to enforce this because it would be so much data. Really, it's about getting into your account. And Tom Wheelwright, for a long time, has been saying he never does an automatic deduction or an automatic payment for his taxes because he does not want the IRS to have his bank account numbers. So, like, if you're getting a refund and you put in your bank account for it to be automatic deposit, he's like, nope, I won't do it.
Do we get ours
No, we
automatically?
don't. We get it as an actual check because I do what he says.
And what this sounds like.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the Waldorf Astoria lobbied Congress to get a specific sprinkler system added, that it was mandated. And so it just completely killed small hotels around the country and basically killed competition. So this sounds like some kind of ploy to potentially kill competition for the big banks that can't fail.
It wouldn't hurt.
Me. Why is this in there? I mean, Nancy Pelosi was asked about it yesterday at a press conference, and she basically said, yeah. The reporter kept asking, like, why $600? It seems like it's going to adversely affect regular Americans, low-income Americans, middle-income Americans, $600 transactions. Like, this is going after every American. It's not going after the billionaire tax cheats. So what you're doing...
But isn't that why?
What's that?
You'll know why when we pass it. Did she say that?
No, but she did say, yes, it's going to be in there.
Well, didn't Janet Yellen say that this is targeting billionaires? Wasn't that like what? I believe it was
that was the onus. I mean, that's what she initially said, that this was, that this is going to help, she says specifically, This reporting will help catch wealthy tax dodgers.
That's such crap because they already have ways to do that. And wealthy tax dodgers do not use $600 transactions. And so one of Tom's real worries is that what they will do is just bill you automatically based on everything they see going into your account. So for instance, our bank account has our paychecks, right? And then maybe, the child tax credit comes in, and then maybe, for instance, my mother likes to Venmo me some money when the kids have a birthday. And so maybe she never sends $600 for a birthday gift, but so
she's like, here's like $30, $40 to go to Toys R Us.
Right.
And,
but there are 5 of us, and we have also an anniversary or, holiday. So if we were to get $600 from her, then the IRS would say, here's your tax bill at 30%, 32%, whatever, on that $600. And it would be incumbent upon me to go and say, no, that's a birthday gift, or no, that's the child tax credit, right? Or actually that is tax. But
and so this is going to adversely affect average Americans who don't have a tax team, who are going to let things slip through the cracks. There's going to be a whole slew of audits coming down the pike from the IRS, because a lot of this is going to be digital. The digital infrastructure now at the IRS is massive, and they're going to use AI, right, to figure this stuff out. They're going to start to look through these records, and it's going to be all computerized, even though they've hired 4,000 people to answer the phones at the IRS.
So look, none of us should like this. Everyone should be afraid of this. None of us should feel like the government should just reach into your bank account. They're even talking about your Venmo account, right? Or your Zelle, or whatever it is, if you're using an app, cash to cash transaction. Like, David and we decided to go and tour the Taj Mahal. I don't know.
David uses Cash App, right? Cash App.
And he pays me for his hotel, which I booked by myself. We have separate rooms. And then that becomes...
You better.
And that becomes taxable, right? That's not taxable. You're splitting a bill, whatever it is, right?
But now it's incumbent upon you to explain this to the IRS.
Absolutely. So, okay.
And to Clayton.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Why were you in India with David at the Taj Mahal?
I don't know why that came. The Taj Mahal is actually
So
is a
Clayton,
shrine
where
to
are you and I
lovers, so
going?
You shouldn't go with someone platonically.
And Philip and I decided to go to Maui, stay at a fancy hotel where they serve.
And we
coconut
didn't do
drinks.
separate rooms.
Yeah, and we did. And we stayed together in the same room.
At night.
We had room service.
Okay, we all should be contacting our local representatives, state government representatives, because this is unacceptable. There's no real reason for it. There's sort of, even the people who are speaking for it are not speaking straight. It's crazy.
They're speaking gibberish. Because, and just think beyond just the IRS coming after you for these $600. Think also about the idea of the privacy issues here, right? Think about the privacy implications of them having access to these accounts. We saw Jeff Bezos' accounts leaked, right? We saw Mike Bloomberg's accounts leaked. We saw these taxes released. So, what's to stop people from using this for political reasons?
Right, the liability alone. And you can't sue the federal government without their approval. So, the federal government could accidentally leak your information. And we see companies like Target, Whole Foods being sued because of these sort of lax protocols and security, and so consumers sued them. You cannot sue the federal government for leaking or just being lax with their security with your personal information. If you want to sue the federal government, you have to get their permission, which you're not going to get.
Well, then it's like the the NSA. They're like vampires. Once you let them in, they're in. And they can only go further, like the NSA. Oh, no, we're only capturing this much data, not all of it. And come to find out, they're capturing all of it. So, if you let them in to track $600, they can track $1.
And they're not able to track accounts that are in the Caymans, that are in all these offshore accounts.
Right.
So Rumple Gold had a $4.99 super chat, but he said maybe the intent is to crash the banks. And these small banks, that totally does make sense, like what David was saying, because they can't target the billionaires, because it's not like the billionaires just have a Chase checking account and that's where their $1 billion is.
Right. Right. And that's the joke here, right? Is that all this type of enforcement always adversely affects the little guy. you know, and we know that an overwhelming number of these audits affect those Americans who are making under $50,000 a year. So the majority of Americans that end up having to deal with an audit are over ridiculous $100 bills or $5 mistake or whatever it happens to be. Ridiculous, you know.
Well, and it's just like they give us these platitudes and say these things. Oh, it's going to be to tax the wealthy so that they can get the loud left on board. And then you've got this army of people out there saying, no, it's to help. It's to help us. The blue check marks on Twitter. It's like, no, this is dangerous.
It's to help us raise revenue, and it's not. I mean, again, it's giving access to the IRS for bank account information, and politicians will have access to this information to control how you save and spend your money, which is ridiculous. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.